Today's video is a video that I've been preparing for quite some time. If you've been on this channel for the past couple months, you've probably heard me say something along the lines of, while I've been very, very bullish, I do expect that this cycle is probably going to end a little bit sooner than what I believe a lot of people are anticipating for. Many people are anticipating this cycle to go into the end of 2025 with Bitcoin reaching some parabolic blow-off top in November/December, somewhere around that timing. And hey, that very much might be correct. I am 100% open to the idea that I might be phenomenally wrong on everything that I'm going to be presenting in this video, but there are some things that I cannot ignore that I think deserve some recognition. And of course, I should also outline perhaps the biggest argument of why this video will be wrong as well. It is very fucking simple, actually. Bitcoin has played out very, very similarly in terms of the timing of cycles for all cycles since the dawn of time for Bitcoin. Now, it's not a huge sample size, to be fair, but that does matter in my opinion. So if I want to anticipate arguments for why I'd be wrong and make my own strongest argument for that as well, that would be it. Bitcoin has particularly played out this current cycle timing wise, you know, from high to low, from low to high, all these sort of things. Again, in terms of timing, very, very similarly. I'm not talking about fractals or nothing like that. Because I think people focus way too much on that shit, and it's obviously never even worked from cycle to cycle. But in terms of timing, that has, and that would imply that Bitcoin probably does last for this current cycle, marking its high in October, November, December of this coming year, 2025. But before we get to the actual content of this video, I want to once again let people know that if you are looking for a nice fee discount, or actually technically not a fee discount, but cash back, which essentially operates as the same thing, for Bluffin, it is still available. In fact, it is actually available for anyone who grabs this link in the description below for the lifetime of your account. So you can kind of lock it in, even if you don't, anticipate to use it. It might be good to have in your back pocket. It's also a no KYC exchange, and they're basically a Bybit clone. And so far, so good in terms of how they've been acting. So yeah, that is available for you. Of course, if you're not an active trader or trading's not your thing, like don't obviously take it. But 15% if it is 15% back in your pocket. So I do think that it is perhaps, powerful. Anyways, let's get into the actual content of the day. So speaking of timing, I do want to bring up one thing in terms of timing. Let me just turn off the damn Discord in the background there. Apologies for the noise. And there is something that is actually quite compelling for the highs of this cycle coming in around the end of Q1 of 2025. If we go through each and every past cycle and we measure from the weekly breakout of the prior all-time high to the next major high, well, we see that the first cycle did this 70 days just straight up after the breakout, then followed by a more than 50% correction right here. I know it doesn't look like much on the chart, but it is a tremendously large correction. In fact, in terms of literal high to low, that is closer to 72, 73% correction. Then when Bitcoin breaks it after a nice consolidation, again from that base, another 42 days from that breakout to the next major high. So, relatively short-lived for the actual parabolic move. Then over here in 2017, same sort of thing, right? Bitcoin breaks above here in April of 2017, and for about 231 days, rallies up towards the next major all-time high. Then followed by one massive correction, and then same thing over here. Bitcoin breaks to its new high in, November of 2020. And for the next 119 days, it was a straight up rally, followed by about a 50% correction. And then I guess another slight one over here. I didn't really count this one as a new high because it wasn't really like a significantly new high or anything like that. And even then, it spent, the majority of summer, about 3-4 months of sideways and down, correction. So yeah. Anyways, if we take all of these past breakouts to next major highs and measure an average for the amount of days that it did spend essentially just going parabolic. Yes, there were some pullbacks along the way, but those were all opportunities. That would be 115 and a half days, actually. You can see on the, on one end over here, very, very short. And, and on these ones over here, a little bit longer, of course, with the longest one being 231 days, which is that's like 7 or 8 months. Now, keep in mind, Bitcoin has already broken above its prior all-time high right here as of early November. And if we were to measure out about 115 days, or the closest I can get is 119 days, that puts us where? Puts us right in the beginning of March of 2025. Again, I'm not saying it needs to be exactly there, but somewhere around there, whether it be a little bit before or a little bit after, does likely make sense. Is it possible that we could get something like this over here, where big, massive move to the upside, big correction, and then another massive move to the upside to finish out the year, and then it does get dragged on another 6 months? Perhaps, yes, very possible. Or I wouldn't say 6 months, but a couple, 2 to 3 months, was quite short-lived on this one. Definitely possible, but very likely we do find a major high right here. And even if we go out to the biggest one, 231 days, where would that put Bitcoin? That would put Bitcoin, where would that put the high? That would put the high, that would put it around June. So that'd be Q2. So still, I think a lot earlier than what most people are anticipating. Okay, cool. So that's that portion of the analysis. Now let's move on to the next one, which I want to get into. Yeah, some volatility analysis. Volatility, always very important. If you're not familiar with what volatility is, it is the measurement of the dispersion of returns, which you can understand easily in the sense that when things are highly volatile, there's tremendous moves, both the upside and the downside direction. It's direction neutral after all. And when things are low volatility, it is a tight range with no trending moves. Anyways, what I've done here and what I found is that Bitcoin on all macro cycle highs has hit extremes on volatility. For the weekly time frame specifically, it has gotten to at least 94.5 percentile, which is big. But let's put that into comparison to where things are at right now. As of right now, Bitcoin is seeing weekly BBWP above 80 percentile. In fact, last week it did close 81.35. Okay, and again, this is being recorded in the first week of December. So, yes, this could theoretically pull back here, and then, we get a consolidation, and then it gets shot up, and maybe that takes longer. But, I'm making an assumption here. But if we see this follow the current trajectory, this will hit the extreme levels around, let's see. I mean, it is pretty much straight up. So maybe something more like this, end of January, early February. Again, that's assuming that this current run kind of continues in the same velocity, or not velocity, but in the same sort of style. And again, that would be a minimum. We have seen weekly BBWP get higher and even stay in that region for a little bit of time on prior highs, but at least somewhere right around there. Again, we're probably going to see that level hit, I would say, before February begins, honestly. So yeah, especially if Bitcoin sees continuation to, any decent degree above 6 digits this month of December. So again, doesn't have much room left to go there. Doesn't mean that exactly when weekly BBWP gets above that region is a high called. No, of course not. The last one is a good example of this in 2020. We did see that initial move hit extremes in December, or December, January, I suppose. And then the highs weren't put in until about February, March. Right here, February, March, April, basically. But in terms of, again, in terms of price, the highs were, this basically was a high, right? In terms of price, it basically was somewhere around about $60,000. Yeah, things traded a little bit above there, a little bit later, but this is not like big percentage moves. Like we saw the majority of the move already. So again, when this condition does happen, that's going to green light, a big likely correction incoming within the next month or two, maybe even sooner than that. 'Cause most of these actually do top out exactly when that does happen. So fair enough. Anyways, moving on from there, we could look at monthly volatility as well. Monthly volatility is also rather interesting right here. It is maybe a little bit more of a bullish look in this case because, well, actually, let's go to the bi-weekly. There's just more data to be analyzing here because I do want to present a slightly alternative view. I do want to be honest as possible in this analysis because it's not just for you, it's for me, as are all my analyses, by the way. And if we look at the bi-weekly BBWP, we can see that, yes, this current bi-weekly, which just opened today, I was waiting for that one, is officially now above 50 percentile. So we are in the heart of this move. And at minimum, we've seen the bi-weekly get up to about 84.5 percentile. So, this can theoretically, again, go on for a little bit longer, but still, even if I take the current trajectory and even am a little bit more lenient with it, we're probably looking middle of March for it to hit around this region. And this actually has been pretty much bang on with the highs, especially as soon as we see it turn down from that extreme level. So that would be a little bit more of like a, I guess, longer look. But again, that still brings us to like maybe at best a late March. So yeah, again, that does mean that a lot of this analysis hinges upon the assumption that Bitcoin continues to the upside, especially in the month of December, to like a great degree actually. Moving on from there, I want to get into the monthly stochastic oscillator. Actually, yeah, okay, the monthly stochastic oscillator. Also, for the monthly stochastic oscillator, we've seen Bitcoin remain within the critical zone essentially since December of 2023 or January of 2024. It's been quite some time, to be fair. It has bounced off of the top side of the critical zone. We've seen that happen in the past, or just, crosses within there. That indicates a very strong move, which certainly this is. But if I measure all of the times where we've seen the monthly stochastic oscillator get into this extreme zone and then turn down below the extreme zone, which has accurately predicted, these cycle highs in the past. Let me just mark them off so you can see. This one, obviously, again, it did go up later on, but this was about a 70% correction over the course of, many months. So, hard to argue that one. This one, again, it turns down actually after, the highs are theoretically in. This one over here, same thing as well, but a good indication that later on, it's probably a good time to sell on any sort of upside move. Anyways, in this case, we've already seen it bounce off of the critical zone, and from the time that it crossed into the critical zone to right now, that's already 397 days. That's actually the longest we've ever seen it really operate within this zone. Maybe if I even look at this a little bit more leniently for 2016, 2017, we could draw that out to 579 days. But again, it does let me know that momentum wise, we're pretty deep into this one. And even if I draw, again, 579 days out from there, that puts Bitcoin July. So, I think latest is going to be Q2, end of Q2, or around end of Q2 of this coming year, 2025. But just, another thing that does say that this current rally is this is extreme. And of course it is extreme. It can get more extreme, of course, as well. In fact, I think that it will get more extreme, but the more extreme, the quicker that it happens, the more and more that I will be convinced that highs are coming in early and within the year. Moving on from there, and let me just check my notes. Okay. Yep. We got that. All right, great. We can also look at the monthly RSI. The monthly RSI has been pretty consistent in governing the highs actually through this trendline regression from essentially all of the prior all-time highs. In fact, I will mark them off again with these red vertical bars. Boom. We have number 2 right there. We have kind of all of these at the same time right here. I guess it's more like this one does trade a little bit above there, but again, that's pretty much the high already. And then again here in March 2021, it is a regression. It's not perfect, obviously, but gives us some gives us a bit of a governance here for what to kind of expect. And well, how well does that line up with the highs? Pretty much perfect on all of them except for 2017. Fair enough. Anyways, in this current one, we can again assume, or if we assume that Bitcoin continues from here, this is going to hit that trend line at the end of January or February of this coming year. Again, it can go above a little bit, that's fine, but anywhere around here, above 88 or so, that's it's probably very, very close to the price high, if not the price high. And again, that would assume that things do continue from here. If we see a correction and the monthly RSI, comes down a little bit, spend some time, then maybe that gets drawn out again, I guess perhaps all the way out to June, July is possible. But if things continue from here, it's going to look more and more like that, to be quite frank. On top of that, we see that the monthly Joule is actually getting another upside signal right here. That is fucking bullish. Again, that is why I do think things are going to continue a lot from here. And it's a fresh one as well. And it is, it is very high up, yes, but these can still get some pretty nice moves. But again, when we see the monthly Joule get into especially this critical zone, which it will, I would say, at least by February, that's when highs become very likely. And of course, it can get deep into that critical zone as well. That is possible, but I do want to keep an eye on this trend line right here. because we do have something forming, it looks like, and that would imply perhaps when we see it meet around this area right here, you know, the 82, 83 level on the monthly jewel, perhaps that would be a high, as well, that has been the trend, I guess. So yeah, you know, it's another thing to kind of keep the eyes on. Anyways, what else do I want to say? Because that is actually the bulk of it. I wanted to use kind of simplistic tools for this video so that people can follow along. And again, you know, I might be fucking massively wrong about this. Very, very possible. But something else that I wanted to bring up as well is that, you know, in terms of cycle to cycle, we've been seeing diminishing returns, right? Every cycle from, you know, from prior cycle high to the next cycle high has seen massively diminished returns. For example, this one, you know, 2011 to, I guess you could kind of say right here, 2013, that'd be 3,800. If we measure for the next one, 2013 to 2017, it's 1,500. Okay, so already a massive drop off from 2017 to, you know, 2021, 250%. So would it be wise to assume that Bitcoin is likely to is unlikely to trade 250% above the last macro high, which is about $69,000? Well, yeah, I think so. So even if we were to see 250%, that would put Bitcoin, for reference, at $240,000. So let's say, you know, people are calling for like these crazy numbers, you know, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, millions. They're going to be right. No, I think it's unlikely for this cycle. Longer down the road, maybe yes. I don't know. But even if Bitcoin played out like a 200% move, that'd put Bitcoin at around, you know, $200,000. So it's, you know, these still big fucking moves, but, you know, even if it played out 150%, you know, we're talking about like 160, 180. So, you know, I do think that that's kind of, you know, still a good area overall for Bitcoin. If I see somewhere around there hit and the timing is around like February, March, somewhere there, I'm going to think, okay, this feels right. And that's what matters, feeling. But yeah. Anyways, that's really all that I wanted to present for today. Let me see how long this video is. Maybe a little bit. It is a little bit longer. So I do apologize about that. Again, I might be massively fucking wrong on this, and there's a really good reason to believe that I will be wrong on this, because the timing of all prior cycles has been very consistent on the 4-year cycle, and that would put things around the end of this coming year of 2025 rather than essentially the beginning or maybe even middle portion. And if I am wrong, I take absolutely zero liability, by the way. Again, it's really, really difficult to do these things far out. I thought that this would be a fun exercise to do. We'll obviously keep updated on this, and how will you know that I'm wrong? Well, if things start to slow, especially between now and let's say February, March, you know, we don't see this current momentous move upheld, then I'm going to be wrong. It's probably going to go on for longer, but and how else might you know? Obviously, if Bitcoin just trades above the March highs, you know, it's going to be an obvious one as well. But the big things for me are the first couple of charts that we looked at, especially with volatility, because that is a pretty damn good predictor of major highs and major lows, actually. So we'll keep updated on this as time goes on. Again, I'll end things right there. I'm actually recording this video a little bit early. I'm recording this video on Monday of this week. We're going to be traveling when I upload this. So please do allow for some time to, for us to get back to you. Been trying to reach out or anything like that. Obviously, like, we're not going to have internet connectivity during the meantime. So yeah. With all of that said, I'd like to wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.